Hi, this is Dan Pipitone from TradeZero. Thanks for joining our webinar. I'm really excited to show you guys what we have to offer as it relates to short selling and locating stocks. Okay, cool, great. Can you guys see me? I'm the guy waving. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So just Mo, thank you for the intro. A little bit about myself. I am an entrepreneur. I've been running and starting my own businesses since I'm fresh out of college. First iteration was a company called Noble Trading that we bought, that we created, started from scratch, and we sold it to Lightspeed in 2010. Myself and my partners, we've been at this for quite some time. We began TradeZero International in 2015, and we quickly followed up with a few years later with TradeZero America. So there are some nuances and there are some differences in terms of the offering between both the offshore and the U.S. broker-dealer. But the main drivers that they have in common are shared technology, shared access to the locates and the locator that's equal. And then after that, there are some advantages and somewhat disadvantages of both, and I'll go into some of those. So as I mentioned, TradeZero, we started in 2015. We leverage all of our own proprietary technology. We've been working on this tech since 2012, 2013. We are excited about where we are today. We have a bunch of things planned and a bunch of things that we're going to be coming out with in the very near future. So without further ado, I'm going to start my presentation. I hope that we cover a lot of bases as it relates to short selling. For some of you guys who are a little bit more savvy, the beginning of the presentation may not be as meaningful, but I'm sure that everyone will find some tidbits of information that are applicable to their daily trading. So I'm going to start the webinar, the presentation. Okay, can everyone see that? Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, Dan, it's not shared. Not seeing it. Now it's good.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. Okay, so short selling 101. How does it work? What makes TradeZero a good broker, and in my opinion, the best broker for shorting and shorting access? As we know, if you turn on the news at night, we've all been preconditioned to think when stocks go up, we're happy. When the Dow is up, everyone is all smiles and it's a green day and life is good. And when stocks go down, just the inverse, right? Everyone is not happy, the world's coming to an end, and there'll be a plethora of reasons as to why the market's down today as opposed to yesterday. But did you know that the inverse of this could be true? Meaning stocks go down, we're happy. Stocks go up, maybe not so much. At TradeZero, we like to ask the question, got shorts? And the answer to that 9 times out of 10 is that yes, we do. And we're going to go into the whys. So what is short selling? As a basic strategy, it's investing or a trading strategy speculating that the price of the stock will decline in value. Short sellers look to profit from a decline in the stock's price. Short sellers will sell shares at a price with the hope of buying those shares back at a lower price. To illustrate, this is a scenario that occurred a few months ago. Many of you may remember. This was an intraday fairly popular short for a symbol called Urban One. This was occurring at a time where socially conscious investing was really at the forefront in the beginning and mid of June. And this company really popped intraday, going from around $7 to north of $50. So this created a great opportunity for short sellers to take advantage of what was looking to be and what was shaping up to be a precipitous decline in the stock. So we can see that ideally you're covering at the high, you're shorting at the high, and you're covering at a much lower price. And this is something that I struggled with myself, kind of getting into the business. Okay, I get a short, I can make money when things go down, but how do I sell what I don't have? The first step of facilitating a short is to identify shares that could be borrowed from someone else who is long that stock. Sounds great. But how do I actually borrow those shares? Every morning, your broker, in this case TradeZero, will provide a list of stocks that are easy to borrow. On the TradeZero platforms, those symbols are represented by a green S next to where the order entry is. This is on all platforms. Stocks that are easy to borrow are in plentiful supply and can be lent out without a fee. Usually, these are the most widely traded of stocks. The stocks that are not easy to borrow are represented with the red LR, meaning a locator is required, and those need to be sourced or located. So who can I borrow these shares from? I'm interested in a short. I think I found a company that's going to go down. What do I do next? So shares can be sourced from other investors at my broker's firm, that are long the stock and are given permission to lend it out. The clearing firm that we clear through, they also provide some liquidity. And then for the most part, it's other outside institutions that will lend out their stock with whom TradeZero has a relationship with, or your broker has a relationship with. Locates. What is a locate? So the technical definition of a locate is the locate provides your broker with a reasonable basis to believe that the shares can be delivered on trade settlement. In other words, we found someone who's willing to lend the shares. We may not need to borrow them because a borrow will only occur if you hold the stock overnight, but at least we know we found someone that can provide those shares if we do decide to borrow them. So locates, sometimes loosely referred to as borrows, are the discovery and sourcing of shares that can be used for shorting. A short trading plan relies on the ability to locate shares. Basically, it's all about the locates. It's all about the shares that your broker has access to. And a locate must be gotten before initiating a short sale on any non-easy to borrow stock. Locating versus borrowing, as I just mentioned. Located shares that are shorted and not held overnight do not need to be borrowed. On settlement, no delivery occurs. So if you trade it intraday, we're not going to go out and borrow the stock. I want to shut this off. A borrow occurs when a stock is held short overnight. In this case, the stock that was borrowed will need to be delivered on settlement by the lender. And a failure to have that stock delivered on settlement results in a buy-in by your broker prior to the market open on trade date +2. So T+2, which is settlement day. So putting it all together, we have a trader who wants to put out a short order. They send out a short. Oh, symbol is easy to borrow. Easy to borrow means the shares are ready to short. The broker satisfies the locate requirement with the easy to borrow shares because they're already on the easy to borrow list. The short trade is initiated. The short trade is covered. And that locate is now available for someone else to use or for you to use. Conversely, if the stock is not easy to borrow and a locate is required, the return on that short sale will say, okay, locate's required. The broker goes out and locates the share for the client if they want. A price and availability is returned, and the client will accept the shares. The broker satisfies the locate requirement with the approved located shares from its client. Short trade is initiated, the short is then covered, and the shares are then returned. At this point, those shares can either be reused by that person who's accepted the locate, or they can be marked for credit, which we're going to get into in a second. So what are the risks? So far, everything sounds peaches, cream, and rosy, rainbows, and all that good stuff. But in reality, it's very important for any trader, especially new traders, to be not only aware of, but to be comfortable with the fees and the risks involved. So first off, short selling requires a margin account. So a margin account just by nature lends itself to more risk because you're trading on leverage. That means with $2,000 you can trade with $4,000. And so theoretically the losses when you're wrong will accelerate as would the gains. So with a margin account, losses can potentially be greater than the value of your account. And if you think about this theoretically for a second, if you buy a stock that's long, where you're long $100, that stock can only go to zero. Whereas on the flip side, if you're short, stocks theoretically can go up infinitely. So there's a risk there. And finally, and probably most importantly, the fees associated with locating borrowing can be very high. At TradeZero, the locate fee and the borrow rate is known upon your querying and viewing the locate price. We charge 5x on your first night for overnights, and while that may be a high number at times, it is a number that you know going in that you're going to pay. And then it's 1 times the locate fee each night thereafter. So the risks and fees are very important to be aware of and to be fully understood before beginning any short trading plan. So is short selling for me? Some brokers, believe it or not, liken short selling to, and I quote, borrowing money from a loan shark and going to gamble that down at the track. We feel that with proper understanding of the risks and fees involved, short selling is a strategy that is used effectively by many traders and investors in both intraday and overnight trading programs. So some common issues faced by today's short sellers. There are issues of supply. We've seen some of those today. When identifying a stock for shorting, will shares be there? If I don't wake up at 6 a.m. Eastern, will they run out? And now the other part of that scenario, the morning rush is over. It's now 10:30, it's 10:45 in the morning. I'm in a short position, I want to add more, but I saw earlier on there were no more shares available. So what do? Some more issues as relates to cost. Locate's too expensive. I think I'm going to pass on this one. Or, damn, I located that stock. I thought things were going to happen. My setup never materialized, so I never shorted it. Now I'm stuck with the locate. Or, wow, that shorting of cover of that symbol was great. It's 9:45. I'm done for the day. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Or finally, I've hit my loss limit for the day. These are the most unfortunate of the situations. What else can I do? Do I have any other opportunity to monetize my account for the day? So when we talk about traditional liquidity of locates, you have, or the traditional liquidity of available short shares, you have an expansive list of easy to borrow stocks, which are going to be your S&P and your most widely traded symbols. And in addition, we provide access to more than 7 different external locate vendors and suppliers of inventory. So what's different and unique about TradeZero's short access? We are providing what we refer to as next generation liquidity. What do we mean by that? Well, we have a patent pending innovation that allows our users to mark locates for credit or to sell back their unwanted or no longer needed locates. Traders can recoup up to 50% of their per share locate cost by marking the locates for credit. Unwanted, unused, or unable to be used locates can now be monetized, potentially. And this, as a byproduct of this facilitation, we are also creating more locate supply for other TradeZero users. So how does this happen? When a locate is no longer needed, this is a screenshot of our Zero Pro platform. Each user on the inventory tab will have the ability to press this credit button or mark it for credit. When that happens, it creates an open order, just like you would on a limit order for a stock. And these orders for selling your locate are filled on what's called a FIFO basis, meaning first in, first out. So if you're the first guy to send out your order to sell your locate, chances are you're going to have it not only filled, but you will be the first person that has that order filled from an internalized basis. In addition, whenever we have inventory that is for sale from an internal user, that always receives priority over outside vendors. Illustrating, I located 100 shares of NIO today. I shorted it, I covered it. I want to now mark it for credit. When I click this little credit button on my inventory tab of the portfolio for your locator, I will now be selling my 100 share locate of NIO. I am also now unable to create an opening short order on NIO because that locate is in the process of being sold. So that the next TradeZero user that comes in and wants to short NIO, they're going to come, they're going to locate it, and they're going to be basically taking it from me. So when we talk about the question of got shorts, at TradeZero, we like to answer that question affirmatively. Yes, we do. And this is all of the items that I've showed you and the way in which we treat this stuff are the reasons why we have accentuated and specialized on providing not only shorts, but an expanded iteration and access to available short shares on a daily basis. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a sort of an end-to-end short, locate, etc., and show you guys, how this works. Okay, so I'm going to now log into my Zero Pro platform, and I see that I have it already set up here. Hopefully all you guys can see. And I'm looking at my Tesla, which we look at Tesla, we see that Tesla is actually easy to borrow. And NIO, which is a stock I referenced before, is not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and set up a hotkey. And I am going to set this up so that we're going to start fresh. So I'm going to set up or send order. I'm going to set up a Control S as my short 100. At bid, side, sell short, quantity, we're going to do shares, and we're going to do 100. The order type is market, so I should relabel this to market. Let's use the smart route, and let's send this good for the day. And I'm going to also auto send, and then save that. Apply, okay, awesome. Okay, so now I'm looking at NIO. I'm going to Control S on my keyboard. We see that NIO is currently hard to borrow. Do you request a locate for 100 shares? Yes, I do. We see that when I do that, the shortlist window pops up, prompting me to accept these 100 shares. Also notice that in my level 2, the order entry, the red LR is still a red LR. Immediately upon me accepting this, we see that now I have 100 shares in my locate inventory. I have 100 of 100 available for shorting. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to short this stock using my hotkey, Control S. Boom. Instant execution, as you saw. We are now short 100 shares, and my locate quantity is 0 of 100 in my level 2. Let me go in again. Let's short another. We do not have enough shares located. Do you want to request another locate? Yes, I do. All of this, I'm using my keyboard to drive, and I'm going to accept it. When I do that, we see that now my available locates on NIO are 100 of 100. Let's go in again. Let's short 100. Boom. We've executed that order. So now I'm short 200 shares. Okay? Let's go in and cover that 200. I'm going to click my position, and I'm going to do it at market. and I'm going to cover at market. Okay, and we see that I've now covered the 200 shares of NIO, and on that closed position, I'm lost $1. Have no fear, however. What we're going to do is we're going to actually mark our 200 shares of NIO for credit. And by pressing this little credit button here, what I am doing is I am putting a 200 share locate order out to some other user that hopefully will be taking my locate. This may take some time, but I'm going to mark it for credit now, and we will leave this here, and we will see as other users of the platform look to interact and take locate for their shorting of NIO. They would be taking it up. 100 shares just went. They would be taking it directly from me. So on that 100 shares, we see that we recouped 62 cents, which is pretty cool given the fact that I lost $1 on NIO. So this is getting me partially of the way there. And when that other 100 went also. So we see that I have actually sold both 100 shares, making $1.24, which is half of the 248 I did a locate earlier in the day. So it's pretty cool. Additionally, those 200 shares, if we were out of supply from all vendors, this now gives other customers the ability to locate shares, especially when we're talking about stocks where we have gone out of supply on. So the locatability that I've just showed you guys, this is, and I'm demonstrating right now from Zero Pro, but this ability is available from not only the Pro platform, but also from both web versions and our mobile app. Additionally, anything that you locate or any trade that you may get into on one platform will carry over in real time to the other. So for example, if I were to place an open short limit order on NIO and I needed to step away and I took my mobile with me, when I logged into the mobile, I would see that open short order on the mobile app, which I can then cancel, I can change, what have you. So all of the platforms that we offer all talk to one another in real time. So anything done on one is available to populate onto another. So in terms of the presentation, I hope you guys enjoyed the screen share. We're going to now open this up to some Q&A, and I'm looking forward to answering some of your questions. Okay, so one of the questions that we got is sometimes users will see that a locate price will start at one number in the morning and will then go higher throughout the day and then potentially come back down and go high again. So I want to really explain on how the logic works for our locator. This works just like a level 2, just like it would on a stock. And what I mean by that is it's sort of like an auction market. So what we do is in the morning, we are taking the locate quantity from the vendor that is selling it at the cheapest price. And once we've cleaned that vendor out, we go to the next one and then so forth. And being totally transparent from my own sort of personal mindset, I am very well aware that at certain points of the day, for certain symbols that are difficult to source, you'll see some crazy locate fees. And as a company, we're ever struggling with the dynamic of and the decision of, hey, we realize that now we're showing some insanely high prices. And the reason is we've cleaned out all 6 other vendors, and it's just the vendor who has the most expensive shares remaining that we're now showing that to our users. And it's kind of like should we not show that because it looks terrible, or should we show it because at the end of the day, like I showed you in that example of UONE, if I remember correctly, those shares went fairly high during the day, probably north of $1. But if you were able to get a short off at 45, 46, 48, it didn't necessarily matter because the stock minutes later was at 18. So we are always looking to show our customers the best possible price at the time, with the understanding that as those prices from the less expensive vendors and those shares are depleted, we're going to show the next best price, just like you would on a stock that's going up. One caveat to that, however, is many times, especially in the morning, a vendor who will run out of supply may get some more back. And if they do that, they may be restoring quantity at a price that they were at previously. And if that happens, you'll see a locate go from 7 cents back down to 2 cents. And it's just kind of the nature of the game. And while we feel badly for those people who may have paid a higher price, at the end of the day, what we're hoping is that we are facilitating and bringing the ability to short these stocks that you may not have access to at many other brokerage firms. We lead with our treatment of accentuating not only the available shares and breadth of symbols that we're providing, but also trying to do so at the best possible prices. So hopefully I've addressed that question.
As I'm seeing like a lot of questions coming in, I'm just gonna start picking up some questions.
Sure, please.
And yeah, so I've seen this general question multiple times already asked. A lot of clients are asking, what happens to the locate if I never credit back? Now, I think they think that there's a penalty if they don't credit the shares.
Right.
Well, you tell them exactly what happens after somebody does the locate but never credit back.
Phenomenal. So what happens with the locate by nature is talking about the ability to enter into a short order only for the day that locate occurred. So those will expire without penalty at 8 p.m. Eastern. But it's always a good idea, and we always recommend where if you're done for the day, regardless of what time it is, mark it for credit, right? It can't hurt. It can only potentially benefit you. We've seen it time and time again where something that may be fairly popular in the morning will cool off throughout the afternoon, and then all of a sudden, a half hour after the close, the thing lights back up again. And when that happens, when the stock starts to run again, inevitably people are looking to short it, because they think it's going to come back down. So it's always a good idea as a general thought, as a general way of doing things. When you have a locate that you no longer need, as soon as you come to the realization of no longer needing it, click the credit button, because you can't hurt, and you can only potentially monetize something that you've already paid for. And you may also be making someone else's day if we're out of supply on something and they're really looking for locates on that symbol.
Okay, great answer, Dan. I mean, always getting some cash back on locates is never a bad thing, right? So
that's right.
A big feature. Everybody loved it. All the feedbacks are always positive on that. Next question, actually, from people that are, I believe they're non-clients or they haven't seen our pricing. They just want to go over the pricing details on the U.S. side and the international side. So maybe if you can briefly just go over the pricing on executions, that'll help them determine.
Sure. Great question. And so just from a high level, I want to talk about, kind of the offering. We have a lot of international folks on the webinar, as well as lots of people based in the U.S. TradeZero is actually two different broker-dealers, TradeZero Inc., which is based in the Bahamas, dealing with non-U.S. folks, and TradeZero America, which is based in Brooklyn, New York. TradeZero Offshore, TradeZero Inc., Bahamas, we have a competitive advantage in that we've really kind of democratized trading and the access to shorts because you can day trade with as little as $500. You can open a margin account with as little as $1,000. And by having a margin account, you can obviously short. And when you have a margin account, you have access to the locator, and the advantage of trading with the TradeZero offshore broker dealer is you can day trade with a minimal amount of money. Additionally, we provide extended leverage of 6-to-1 for those accounts that maintain $2,500 or more. TradeZero offshore, we have a maker-taker model for pricing. Maker means you're adding liquidity, you're posting an order whereby even if that order sits for a fraction of a second, your order has not created an immediate match. And by posting that order, we get paid a rebate, offsets our fees, and that is how we can offer those commission-free. On the taker side means that you're doing a market order or you're doing some order where some price is already posted and you're taking that price. It doesn't matter if you're buying shares or you're selling shares, your order is creating a match of some price that's already there. And when that happens, we charge a half a penny per share on that. But I will have everyone know that it's important to realize, especially on our marketable orders, you will notice that more often than not, the execution price comes back at a fraction of a penny, meaning it's not the whole penny. And many times we will see price improvements of a half a penny or more, which at the end of the day is offsetting your commission. So it's important to be ever mindful of, it's not just all about the commission. It's about execution quality, it's about execution price, and it's about all of the other things. So while we do charge a commission in the Bahamas, it's very important to realize that the way in which we route the orders many times, more often than not, will lend itself to price improvement, which would offset your commission. In the U.S., we don't charge commission for any stock above $1. The maker-taker model, we don't apply. It doesn't apply to the way we handle our pricing in the U.S. So basically, while we don't have exceptions to PDT, you need to maintain $25,000 if you want to day trade in the U.S. But we do have the advantage of being totally commission-free and all of the access to the shorts as we've just covered. So those are kind of some of the nuances as it relates to the offering from both TradeZero America and TradeZero International.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. I think we're gonna do one or two more questions.
Sure.
To wrap it up, because we don't want to take a lot of time here, because I'm sure we're gonna have multiple webinars coming up, so there's gonna be a lot of opportunities.
Yes, this is the first of many. We're excited about the turnout for this one, and we're at a place now where we're really looking to start enlightening and educating potentially, not just on stuff that may be second nature to Muhammad and I, but that we may know about, and that maybe we haven't done the best job of letting our users know kind of some of the intricacies and advantages of trading here. So we're leading with our main advantage at this time, which is the access to the shorts. But we are going to be scheduling much more frequent webinars where we'll be covering a host of topics.
Yeah, absolutely. So just let's go over this last question. So people are wondering how can they determine what platform they should use? And I think this is probably coming from semi-beginner or semi-advanced traders that are trying to understand exactly what's going to work for them and applying it, whether it's being long or being short. Which platform is going to support all their needs, or which platform is just going to support the limited trading strategy.
Great. And I'm also going to tie in another question I've seen a few of, which is charts at 4 a.m. Yes, believe me, I know. It is a significant issue. However, if you're on the web free or web pro or mobile today, we have 4 a.m. charts, and you can go and check this out. The 4 a.m. charts are coming to Zero Pro in the next week. We're going to be putting out a new build that's going to have that. but the data is there. As I mentioned, they already work on Zero Free and the version that everyone is logging into. Being totally transparent, I'm a Zero Free user myself. I love the charts. And we've done a lot as it relates to the charting, especially on the web mobile versions over the last few months. So, platform selection. We have a few different platforms by design. Our Zero Pro obviously is our flagship. It is the flagship for the reasons of it will handle the most amount of data, and it is the most flexible as it relates to the customization of your layout. It's a true Windows platform. You have the ability to either run it in a container, like I was showing you guys today on the webinar, or you can run it as a free-floating Windows application, which is really cool if you want to, integrate in some other platform or news or what have you, that you can create a real nice kind of uniform layout with not only the Zero Pro, but also some other windows populating your complete desktop layout. We have the Web Pro platform really as an answer to our Mac users. While the Web Pro allows you to extend the browser across multiple monitors, and you can create a layout that also extends across multiple monitors. You can drive it via hotkeys, and it is a lot more flexible than the web-free version in terms of creating that customized layout. So that is Pro-like, albeit it doesn't have as much data processing capability as does Zero Pro. So if you're a person who is deciding whether you should use Web Pro or Zero Pro, if you have a Windows machine, we would always defer to going to Zero Pro. If you're on a Mac and you're not running Windows emulation software, that's something we really don't support, but many users do use it. The Web Pro platform is the way to go if you're looking for that real customized layout, the ability to trade using hotkeys, and to kind of create a Windows-like desktop layout. Finally, you have the Zero Free. Again, I use it. It's what I trade on. I wouldn't call myself a trader. I'm an investor, but I am, I am doing, probably one thing every day. And the Zero Free platform is awesome because it's packaged with the mobile app. There is never a monthly fee, and not only that, but unlike the platform that you would get from other broker dealers in their free version, we are giving users full streaming level 1, meaning full NYSE, full Amex, full NASDAQ. So you're getting every trade and every quote in the same way that you would if you're using Zero Pro or Web Pro. So while the layout is semi-fixed, you have the opportunity to move columns, to move windows within the column. We just came out with an update about a month ago that for the watch list, and this is one of my pet peeves, because if you're on a Zero Free version and you haven't upgraded to include level 2, that's a $25 add-on, it gives you level 2 and hotkeys. If you haven't done that upgrade, which I haven't, you did not have, prior to the last update, a fully featured application running on your screen where you can have a watch list, a chart, your short list, the portfolio, and some news all on one screen, and your order entry. So we've just created the ability for the watch list to move from the right column to the left column. So unlike all of the other windows in Zero Free, which just have a little up or down arrow, the watch list has an arrow that points to the left, or if it's in the left column, points to the right. So it's really cool, and it allows for a more customized and more full-featured layout on the screen at one time. So a very long-winded response to your question, Mo, but I think that it comes down to two things: cost and flexibility. Because in terms of the feature set and the functionality, the main points, they all give you market data, full streaming, they all give you charting ability, they all give you real-time news, and they all give you access to the shortlist window. One of the main windows that you're only going to see in the Zero Pro version is your top list. And the top list is a really powerful window, especially in the pre-market, because if you look at the top list and you just look at your, your percent gainers, your percent change up, your percent change down, those are going to give you really good ideas, especially in the morning, as to some stocks that you want to take a look at for shorting.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dan. This was, great explanation. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be able to determine what platform they're going to be looking for after this. So I myself, I like the Zero Pro because, I like to have multiple charts, multiple layouts. I love seeing the time and sell, so the hotkeys. Yeah, I'm sure every platform, have the hotkeys, but my preference is Zero Pro. So, so I think we should wrap it up with the questions, right? I think we've had enough for today, or do you want to go over more, Dan?
I'm getting spammed with a question here, so let's answer this one. How can you swing short if TZ takes the shares after T+2? Well, TZ doesn't take shares at T+2. What I was explaining was the difference between a locate and a borrow. So if you want to swing trade a short sale, okay, what happens is this. You would locate it today. You would keep the short open past 8 p.m. tonight. After, with full knowledge of what you're going to be charged. So in the example that I just showed you guys with NIO at 2.1 cents, we know, before I even accept the locate, I know, regardless of what NIO does today, I know what it's going to cost me to not only locate the shares, but also hold those shares until tomorrow. Because we charge a 5x rate, and while we understand that rate sometimes jumps off the page as being crazy, users need to be aware of the way that other brokers charge. And that is tied to both an unknown rate, because those rates are determined after the day is over. Additionally, that rate is also tied to the closing price of the stock. So there's no way for you to know at 7:30 in the morning to have any idea as to what you're going to be charged going into the close. So the 5x rate gives you that total understanding and knowledge going in, while at times it may be high, at other times it may be very inexpensive. So we're providing full transparency over those costs, which is unlike at other places. So if you hold that short overnight, we're going to go out and borrow those shares. If in the unlikely event that we are unable to borrow those shares, remember, we just got to locate from some vendor that says we have shares for you to loan. We're not loaning you those shares on the locate, but we know that we have identified shares. At 8 p.m., we are going out and saying, hey, we're going to need to borrow those shares. On settlement, if that vendor does not provide those shares, that's called a failure to deliver, we will then buy the stock in prior to the open at 9:30. So I hope I was clear on that. There is no caveat to us precluding anyone from initiating a short, from swinging it for as long as you would like, because, like I said, we really, between our vendor relationships and the relationship we have with our clearing firms, those failure to delivers are very few and far between, which obviously as a result makes those buy-ins few and far between. So there's not really a risk of that. I would say that there's probably less of a risk here as there are other places because of the numerous relationships that we have with outside vendors providing those locates and borrows. So
based on that, like the 5x, because I've seen people not understand exactly what the 5x is basically the locate fee times 5. So whatever was the locate cost per share for total times the 5, and that would include.
So in that NIO example, it was $2.10 for 100 shares. If I held that 100 overnight, I'm going to pay $10.50 for tonight till tomorrow, and then $2.10 each additional day that I hold those 100 shares short.
Correct. So, Dan, what do you think? I mean, there's a lot of questions, but I think that, so if you're in the US, you can always send any question that you have to support@tradezero.us. And if you're in international, you can go to support@tradezero.co. And we do have, licensed agents in the US that will be able to assist you. And there are there are agents as well in the offshore branch who will also be able to assist you anytime that you're looking for. You can call and you can chat with us on the website, or you can just email us and we'll be able to get back to you. Anything you want to add?
And this will be recorded, so we're going to make this available to everyone so that you can kind of, review and replay it at your leisure. And I am looking forward to having this be the first of many. And I'd like to thank everyone for registering and for spending the hour with us. We want to thank you for your business. And for anyone who is not yet a TradeZero customer, if you have specific questions, you could either go to TradeZero.us or TradeZero for US customers, or TradeZero.co, and interact with our live chat, which incidentally is manned 24/7. You can also call us at the corresponding numbers on the homepage for both US and international.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for attending our webinar today. I had a blast, and I hope you guys learned a lot. We're looking forward to scheduling more of these in the very near future, so stay tuned.